Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Geopolitical News. In this video, we will discuss why Nicolás Maduro cannot directly attack Guyana through its border. Those following the channel are already well informed about Nicolás Maduro's victory in the referendum this Sunday, December 3rd. The referendum, with its 5 questions, completely paved the way for the Venezuelan annexation of Essequibo, a region with a population of 125,000 people, representing 74% of Guyana's entire territory. In his victory speech, Maduro avoided giving clear indications about his next steps after the approved referendum, limiting himself to repeating the populist discourse that characterized the referendum campaign. Essentially, Maduro stated that the Venezuelan people decided on the unity of the entire country, a term he chose to refer to the forced annexation of Essequibo. The Venezuelan armed forces are not showing signs of mobilization for an imminent large-scale invasion, but the risk of invasion cannot be ruled out, especially considering the highly precarious state of Guyana's defenses. But why, in the event of an invasion, can't Maduro advance with a direct frontal attack through the common border between the two countries? The major obstacle is the Amazon rainforest, which covers a significant part of the border. The other part, further south, near the Brazilian border, is marked by high mountains and deep valleys. But why does the Amazon rainforest prevent a large-scale invasion? Very few people truly understand what the Amazon rainforest is. The challenges the forest poses for military operations involving a large invading force are immense and encompass all possible aspects of a military campaign, starting with navigation and movement. In the era of satellite navigation, the dense forest can hinder the use of this technology, with tree canopies interfering with signal reception. Without GPS and with almost no geographic reference points, navigation becomes a significant challenge. Movement is also severely hindered in a forest environment, with soldiers forced to follow narrow trails or winding rivers, always exposed to enemy ambushes and traps like mines. The soldier's attire poses an additional challenge, as the Amazon rainforest is particularly humid and hot, requiring tens of thousands of specially prepared uniforms for this biome. Another major challenge is logistics. As the saying goes, an army fights with what logistics permits. If there is a lack of weapons, ammunition, and food for the troops at the front line, regardless of the soldier's motivation or training level, operational capacity will be severely affected. Transporting tons of supplies through the forest is a tremendous logistical challenge and can even prevent the deployment of a large invasion force through the forest. Diseases also represent another significant challenge, both those transmitted by insects and those resulting from the ingestion of contaminated water and spoiled food, common in a forest environment, especially when thousands or tens of thousands of soldiers are physically close for extended periods. There is also the risk of lethal ambushes. It is impossible to hide the movement of a large invading army in the middle of a forest. No matter how discreet an army tries to be, it cannot conceal multiple columns with thousands of soldiers slowly advancing through dense forest, giving the opponent enough time to prepare ambushes in strategic locations, such as at the bottom of valleys or between deep rivers. Even if the invader chooses rivers for the attack, the courses are well known, facilitating defensive actions by the invaded country, such as ambushes from the shores. All these difficulties, exacerbated by the inclement weather, with rains that can last for days, guerrilla actions, diseases, and the low quality of food easily affected by humidity, can rapidly deteriorate the morale of troops, contributing to further reducing the invaders' operational capacity. All these difficulties became evident during the Vietnam War, the largest conflict in a forest environment in history. The United States and other allied nations, such as Australia, deployed hundreds of thousands of well-trained, well-fed, and, above all, well-armed soldiers with the latest technology. Nevertheless, they suffered greatly from all the mentioned difficulties, especially guerrilla actions. Of course, Venezuela's armed forces today do not compare to the United States in that conflict. However, purely in relative terms, Venezuela today is to Guyana what the United States was to North Vietnam in the 1960s. In such a context, with a large invading force facing an inferior opponent, both numerically and technologically, guerrilla warfare and sabotage, taking advantage of the challenging forest environment, are the recommended practices. All this leads us to assume that if Maduro wants to effectively implement his plan to annex Essequibo, he will need to send a large invasion force against Guyana. However, if he does this by land, through the forest, Venezuelans risk losing their numerical advantage, facing not only guerrillas scattered throughout the forest but also enduring all the rigors of the jungle. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now to help us, and don't forget to leave your like. Until next time.